Hi, this video is for anybody who's ready to get out of their own way and take action to achieve their desires. I have 5 tips that are going to help you move from your head into action. And they're simple tips, but they're not necessarily easy. There is going to be some work you got to do. So first and foremost, we're going to go ahead and get into it by saying, first, number 1 is to identify your goals. You gotta have goals. So you can look at them short term and then long term. So you can write them down. You can video them out for yourself like this too. Whatever it takes, but get it done. So short term is going to be anything from 6 months to a year, maybe even up to a max of 2 years. And then of course, long-term goals are going to be anything more like 5 years into the 10-year range. So you can have those all down, spreadsheet them, write them out, see whatever it is you got to do to kind of figure out and plan it and reverse engineer it. How do you get there? So once you have that goal in place, think about what's it going to take to get you there. What do you got to do tomorrow? What do you got to do next week? What do you got to do next month? What do you got to do this whole quarter of the year? How do you get to where you're trying to get to? So that's number 1. And it's so important because I wasn't raised like that. I don't know about you. I was sort of raised more to kind of take life as it comes. You know, as things were coming at you, then you kind of decided what to do and you'd pivot or duck or, you know, go on the offensive or whatever it was. But I wasn't taught to say, hey, where do you want to be in a year? Where do you want to be in 5 years? No, that wasn't kind of a conversation that was ever had in my household. So that's something that I've had to change for myself as I got older and, as I had kids of my own, change that dialogue. So you have to change it for yourself first in your own head and then out there in the world. So number 2, tell yourself the truth. And what I mean by that is take a minute to really go back over your past and assess what you consider your successes and what you consider your setbacks. Just brain dump it. Just, vomit on the paper, anything that you can think of as much as you can in the success column, and then anything that you can in the setback column. Once you've got everything down, and maybe even ask somebody, a friend, a sibling, in case you've missed anything, because sometimes other people will see your life from a different perspective and will consider more things that you thought were just you being you. And that was more of a success as far as other people were concerned. So I would even maybe ask for a tiny bit of help on that particular brain dump. And then what's the most important part about this is ask yourself then, what did I learn? What did you learn from your successes? Absolutely. Kind of write them all out or answer it for yourself. And then what did you learn from your setbacks? What to do, what not to do, kind of back and forth, and be honest about it. This is an exercise for you to get out of your own way. And in order to do that, there has to be some reflection and some celebration of your successes and a celebration of the things that you learned. Because when you learn, that is a success for sure. So even if it was a setback, if you learn something from it, win, that's a success. So kind of go back through and then you want to give yourself a glass of wine or get yourself a massage or go for a walk or, buy yourself something pretty. Celebrate those successes though, because everything on that paper, by the time you're done with it, or if you're typing it up or whatever it is, you won because you learned. So celebrate those successes and take the time to feel it, to feel everything that you were successful about. And then the third thing I'm going to suggest is, I would say, especially kind of going through and looking at what your goals might be. And I'm sure you're going to have some thoughts about, I'm not there yet. And especially going through some setbacks and maybe even your successes. I'm sure going to be kind of realizing maybe a pattern about how you move through life. So my suggestion technique tip number 3 is going to be to reprogram yourself. Now, there's going to be lots of healing modalities out there that will help you do that. Everything from somatic breath work, yoga, meditation, some things that help me in particular that I'm going to briefly talk about is going to be tapping, so EFT, the emotional freedom technique, as well as EMDR, which is a technique based on rapid eye movement, which is something our brain does automatically and naturally without us even thinking about it when we're in REM sleep at night, which is rapid eye movement, right? So what you're doing is you're reprocessing your memories using the back and forth eye technique. You can even look it up on YouTube, and there are lots of videos out there that'll walk you through the entire process. But if you have access to a therapist or somebody that can help you through that, I would totally do that. There's also lots of videos out about tapping and EFT that'll take you through that process as well. The idea with tapping is that you start out, touching on different meridian points around your face and on your body. And again, it's a verbal, even if it's a low or an internal, but it's still a verbal purging of anything bad that you can think of regarding a particular topic or, again, a particular memory. There is a point in the tapping where you can feel your emotion shift, and then you can start to program and go through those meridian points, affirming and reaffirming positive statements. So you go from a negative to a positive, and by the end of the tapping session, usually you feel just sort of, a little tiny bit maybe worn out. It is an emotional journey that you go on to do the tapping. So those are the things that helped me. Meditation also super helped me as well. Again, as I had mentioned earlier, I was raised kind of to deal with things as they sort of flew at me. And meditation gave me a place to kind of block all that out and sit in silence and hear me. It gave me a moment to hear myself and to hear my own soul, my own intuition, my own guidance. So it was really important to me as well. So that's something that I've implemented into my regular life now. But yeah, I would say I would recommend always having an open mind and trying something. Say you try the tapping and you hate it. Okay, that's not for you. It's all good. Say you try somatic breath work and you love it. You get all kinds of emotional trauma out. You find peace with it. Great. Somatic breath work isn't for everybody, but I would try all of that. Anything. So I would just honestly Google it, different healing modalities, and it'll give you plenty of information that you can kind of go through. But again, even on that, I would suggest listening, getting quiet for a minute, going through the list of whatever you're researching. And if it sounds like it might be something you're interested in, do it. Go all in. You owe it to yourself to finally get out of your own way. Okay, so I would do that. And my fourth suggestion for getting out of your own way is to practice self-compassion. And so the exercise that I work on to give myself compassion is to think of it like this. Like if my best friend or my kid would come to me with a problem, how would I react to them? If they're telling me that they're down about something and this happened or that happened, like, what would I do? What would I say? And rarely do I automatically talk to myself with the same kind of support or love or kindness. I would never tell my best friend, well, yeah, you dummy, what the heck what did you expect? Of course you got written up for that. Can't you ever show up to work on time? What's wrong with you? I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry, that happened to you. I'm sorry that your manager was rude to you. Oh my goodness. Well, what can you do? Can we think about ways that you can, be on time better and better time management? How can I help you? Do you want me to call you in the morning and wake you up? I can wake you up and make you laugh right away and we can get going. I would do silly things like that if it was somebody else. So having that kind of a conversation with yourself, I would do that. Like, even if you just wrote it out sort of in letter form, you can sort of dump first, what the problem or the issue is. And then, maybe give it a day or an hour or whatever, and then come back and then write yourself encouragement, show yourself that compassion that you deserve anything that anybody else does, especially in terms of support and kindness and patience and understanding. We got to give it to ourselves first, especially if we do have friends and family, kids in our lives, that kind of thing. If you got to fill your own cup up. So yeah, you definitely want to give yourself that space for compassion. Within that bubble, I'm going to also talk about forgiveness, forgiving yourself. We talk a lot, or it seems like a lot of people talk about forgiving other people, forgiving that person that hurt you, forgiving your ex-boyfriend, forgiving your ex-husband, forgiving your ex-wife, forgiving your sibling, forgiving what about forgiveness for ourselves? And just like with another person, it might be something that you have to practice. It might be something that you have to work on. It might be a process that you have to go through, but the time is now to get out of your own head and give yourself that grace. Give yourself the gift of forgiveness. I didn't realize that we have emotional muscles the same way that we have physical muscles. And, forgiveness is one that you definitely want to work out and flex and try. And again, that doesn't mean that you condone whatever happened. It doesn't mean that you're giving permission for additional behavior like that to happen. Again, whether you're forgiving somebody else or you're forgiving yourself, that it's not permission. Forgiveness is not permission. Forgiveness is a putting down of the pain. Forgiveness is an acceptance that it was a fact. Whatever happened, it happened. Whatever was said, was said. Whatever was done, or not said, or not done. But it was, meaning it's in the past. It happened. So we're going to leave it there. We're going to put it down and we're going to walk away. That's what forgiveness is. I'm not going to carry that with me anymore. I'm not going to let it weigh on me anymore. I'm not going to let it squash my enthusiasm or my creativity or my love anymore. I'm going to put it down. I'm going to walk away. That's what forgiveness is, in a nutshell. So while it's definitely important to think about, are you carrying around resentment, anger, hate, towards somebody else? Absolutely. Evaluate it. But first and foremost, what are you carrying around about yourself? Put it down. Walk away. You owe yourself that freedom. This is pivotal in the getting out of your own way. So it kind of goes back to, the reprogramming yourself. So in that process, there's going to need to be some forgiveness for yourself and a choosing of letting go of your limitations. Instead, Abraham Hicks says, you're fighting for your limitations, when you should be fighting, for your freedom. You should be fighting for your own love. You should be fighting for your own forgiveness instead of for your own limitations. So it's a choice that you make. And it might not be easy. It might be a process, like I said. It might be something that you have to work at. Years ago, I read a book by Marianne Williamson, A Return to Love. And in that, she suggests as a forgiveness statement to begin the practice of forgiveness. She says to say the person's name, I forgive you and I release you to the Holy Spirit. And, as an example, I had a very troublesome relationship with my father. The first time that I said that sentence, when I said, Dad, I forgive you and I release you to the Holy Spirit, I almost couldn't get it out. I got about halfway through the sentence and it kind of stuck. I choked on it, not to put too fine a point on it. It was very hard to say the whole sentence, and I was in a room by myself. I was alone. I had been meditating, and I gave that sentence a try, and it was very difficult. Later, I kept saying it. I would say it while I was driving, kind of when I was by myself and alone, and it wouldn't freak anybody out if I kind of, started to cry or got choked up. When I felt safe, I would say it. And it took me, probably about 3 or 4 months before I could just get the sentence out. Once I got it out, it probably took another 5, 6 months before I could say it without wanting to cry or without feeling angry. You know how you can kind of feel that kind of bubble up. So altogether, like a year? It took me a year, but it was so freeing at the end. It was so cool at the end to finally be, and here I am years and years later, and I do forgive my father. I did put it down. I did walk away. That doesn't mean I forgot any of it. It doesn't mean I changed my mind about how I felt, when anything happened. But I'm not carrying it around with me anymore. Nope. That ship has sailed. I win. I win because I've freed myself, from that through the process of forgiveness. So, and fifth and finally, there probably is lots of things that we could talk about in terms of getting out of your own way, but I kind of, pulled this down to the 5 that were really instrumental to me. So number 5 is going to be visualize your success. I do have a really good imagination. I hope you do. But try, you never know until you actually try something, but, it can be so fun. You can write yourself out a story, when I finally achieve, whatever your dream is, I'm going to be able to do this and I'm going to be able to do that. And I'm going to be able to go here and I'm going to, feel like this. I'm going to share it with, whoever you're going to share it with. And this is what I'm going to do to celebrate it when I achieve it and when I get there. And, just really let yourself have fun with it. It's so much fun. And, whether you do this as sort of a writing exercise or you can meditate or do both. I would write it out is kind of what I did. And then I meditated about it once I sort of had a framework of, what I thought. And then I found myself other places, other times. Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to do this or, it would be so cool, and I would add to my dream. And so I have like a voice recorder, on the phone. And so I would just leave myself like little voice memos, saying, hey, add to it. And, so then I kind of add it and write it out. And I am a journal freak. I have like 4 or 5 different journals that it's a hodgepodge of just writing, but it feels so good to write it down and get it out. Here we go again, getting it out of your own head and down into the physical world on a piece of paper so that you can see it and reread it and have fun with that, and sometimes when you're feeling down or you're feeling kind of gross, get that journal out and read it. It's so cool. Or listen to the voice memo again, and hear yourself saying, oh my God, it was so cool. I got this other idea. And wouldn't that be so neat if, we moved here or built that house over there or, whatever it was. And it can kind of lift you up, so you can kind of save it for yourself for another time and have some fun with it. But, whether you're, ranting, going on a little bit of a rant, which maybe I think we need to, change the connotation of the word rant. A rant can be really good. It can be something really positive as well, but you can just go on and on and on and on about one particular topic and say everything that you can say. Give yourself that freedom and the permission. That was the word I was looking for. The permission, to dream, to dream it, storyboard it, vision board. That's why everybody kind of got on that craze, because it was fun. It was creative. It was getting something, again, out of your head and something that you could look at to remind yourself, because sometimes that's what we really got to do, is we got to remind ourselves what our dreams really are and how cool we really are, and how much we deserve to be loved. So hope all of that was so helpful. Please, if you liked this, please hit that subscribe button, and I wish you guys a great, great, great day.